Welcome, everyone. We're diving deep into the life and legacy of Swami Vivekananda today.
Oh, this is going to be good.
Yeah, he's a pretty important figure in modern Hinduism,
Like,
right?
absolutely a key figure.
We're mainly using a biography for this deep dive.
So we're going to get a really in-depth look.
Yeah, a close-up on his journey and what made him so influential.
You know, what always gets me about Vivekananda's story,
Hmm.
it wasn't like he was destined for spiritual leadership from the get-go.
Yeah.
His story's all about this, like, profound transformation.
Oh, interesting.
He started as Narendranath Dutta, and get this,
Okay.
he was actually super skeptical about religion early on.
Whoa. It's hard to picture him as anything but, like, a total spiritual powerhouse.
Right.
So what happened? What changed for him?
All right, so imagine young Narendranath, super curious, questioning everything, demanding proof, like really pushing back even on the idea of God.
Okay.
And then comes Sri Ramakrishna, this mystic saint who becomes Narendranath's guru. That meeting totally reshaped Narendranath's whole worldview.
Wow, sounds like a real clash of worldviews.
Yeah,
How'd Ramakrishna deal with a student who was, like, so skeptical?
I know. It's wild, right?
The biography mentions that Narendranath actually demanded that Ramakrishna prove God exists.
Oh, yeah.
I gotta admit, I don't think I'd be brave enough to do that.
Such a powerful story, don't you think? Tells you a lot about both of them.
Yeah.
It wasn't about forcing blind faith or anything.
Oh.
Ramakrishna just, like, embodied these spiritual truths, you know?
Yeah.
And his teaching style, it really clicked with Narendranath's inquisitive side.
Interesting.
It was a turning point for him. That encounter sparked his spiritual awakening.
Wow, so we see Narendranath go from skeptic to devoted disciple under Ramakrishna.
Exactly.
But his journey keeps going, right?
Oh, absolutely. This whole theme of transformation, it runs through Vivekananda's entire life. After Ramakrishna passes away, Vivekananda goes on this journey.
Okay.
And it's not your typical spiritual retreat, you know? He travels all over India. But he's not hitting up serene temples or ashrams or anything.
Oh, really?
He's seeing the hard stuff, the realities of India, poverty, social injustice, all the struggles everyday people were dealing with.
It's pretty amazing that he didn't shy away from all that.
I know, right?
You know, so many spiritual leaders seem to be in their own bubble, kind of removed from the suffering of the world.
Yeah, and that's what makes Vivekananda different. He put himself right there in the thick of it, with the people experiencing the effects of all those societal problems firsthand.
Yeah.
It wasn't just some intellectual thing for him. It was deep, visceral,
Okay.
and that direct contact with suffering, it fueled his commitment to making a real change. He realized, like, true spirituality can't exist in a vacuum.
Yeah.
It's got to be connected to the well-being of society.
I'm already picking up on this strong link he's making between spirituality and social action. Yeah. It's not just about personal enlightenment, it's about using it to uplift everyone.
Exactly. And this becomes super clear during an episode from his travels. It's at Cape Comorin, the southernmost tip of India.
Okay.
Vivekananda has this profound epiphany.
Okay.
The biography describes it as like this super emotional moment where he dedicates himself to serving humanity as a way of serving God.
Wow, what a powerful image. Standing at the edge of India, making that commitment.
Yeah, it's incredible.
What had he seen or gone through that led to that?
It wasn't just one thing. It was everything. All those encounters with suffering, the conversations he had, it all solidified his purpose.
Wow.
Personal enlightenment wasn't enough anymore. He saw the divine in every single person, and he felt like he had to act on that.
Wow, so from skeptic to devoted disciple, and now, with this experience at Cape Comorin, he's emerging as a champion for all humanity.
That's it.
It's amazing how each stage builds on the last.
I know, right?
Like he's constantly evolving, deepening his understanding of spirituality and what it means in the world.
And then things took a huge turn when Vivekananda decides to go to the Parliament of Religions in Chicago in 1893.
Okay.
Imagine this, right? An unknown monk from India shows up at this huge gathering of religious leaders from all over.
Yeah, this is where he steps onto the world stage, right?
Exactly.
I've always loved the story of his speech at the Parliament.
It's legendary.
They say he completely captivated everyone there.
He did.
What was it about his message that made such an impact?
It was a bunch of things. His eloquence, for sure, but also just what he was saying.
Yeah.
He didn't present Hinduism as some rigid set of rules. He presented it as this vibrant philosophy with all these different paths to the divine.
Right.
He talked about the universal truths that tie all religions together. You know, tolerance, understanding, the oneness of humanity.
Yeah.
It wasn't just some theological lecture. It was a call for unity and interfaith dialogue. Super powerful in the context of that parliament.
And it wasn't just the words, it was how he delivered them.
Okay.
That famous line, "Sisters and brothers of America."
Oh, yeah.
So simple, but it created an instant connection.
It did.
You can practically feel the energy in the room changing as he's saying it.
Exactly. It set the tone for his whole time at the parliament. He wasn't there to convert people or put down other beliefs. He was there to build bridges, to share what he knew, and acknowledge that other paths were valid too.
Wow.
This really challenged stereotypes about Hinduism, you know?
Yeah.
And it opened up a space for real interfaith dialogue.
Amazing. So he goes from an unknown monk to a global figure.
Yep.
Vivekananda's journey keeps unfolding in these unexpected ways.
Totally. And his time in America would shape his vision for India and the whole world even more.
Wow. Can't wait to hear about that.
Oh, it's fascinating.
So fascinating how Vivekananda, being in America, like such a different place, it kind of sparked all these ideas about India's future.
Yeah, totally. Seeing America's like energy and all those technological advances up close, it got him thinking. You know, how could India, with all its spiritual heritage, learn from the West's progress?
Interesting.
That's when his idea of practical Vedanta really takes shape.
Practical Vedanta. Sounds powerful.
Yeah.
But what exactly did he mean by that?
Okay, so Vivekananda believed that the deep insights of Vedanta, they shouldn't just be stuck in like abstract philosophy talks, you know?
Yeah.
They should be applied to real problems, to ease suffering, to uplift society. He wasn't just a spiritual teacher.
Okay.
He was a reformer at heart, really cared about the struggles of his people.
So it wasn't about like renouncing the world or seeking enlightenment in isolation?
Nope, not at all. He saw how spiritual growth and a healthy society, they're connected.
Okay.
For Vivekananda, true spirituality meant engaging with the world, not running away from it.
Interesting.
He saw Vedanta as this practical tool for tackling things like poverty, illiteracy, and social injustice.
And this wasn't just some vague idea, right?
Oh, no, not at all.
He had concrete plans for how to put practical Vedanta into action.
He did. Education, especially for women and the disadvantaged, was huge for him. Empowering individuals, that was key for societal progress.
Sounds so relevant even today.
Yeah, totally. But his vision went beyond just basic literacy.
Right.
He wanted an education system that built character, self-reliance, and a spirit of service.
I like that.
This social vision, though, it did come with some critiques of the West.
Oh, that's right.
He was impressed by America's achievements, but also worried about the excessive materialism he saw.
Okay.
Warned against putting wealth above spiritual values.
Interesting.
In one of his really sharp critiques, he said, "Better be ready to live in rags with Christ than to live in palaces without him."
Wow.
Powerful stuff. He wanted the West to find that balance, economic success with a deeper purpose.
It's like he's holding up a mirror, right?
Yeah, urging the West to look at its own imbalances.
But it wasn't all criticism, was it?
Oh, no, not at all.
He believed in learning from the West, too.
Absolutely. Vivekananda was all about finding harmony between East and West. Not about pitting them against each other, but recognizing the strengths of both and creating something better for everyone.
Wow, he was way ahead of his time.
Totally. Advocating for cross-cultural dialogue when so much of the world was all about competition. His vision, it went beyond national borders.
Yeah.
He saw India and the West as complementing each other, each with unique strengths, contributing to a richer world.
Reminds me of his respect for women's role in society.
Oh, yeah.
The biography talks about his admiration for American women,
Right.
praising their strength and independence,
Yeah.
even comparing them favorably to the situation in India back then.
His views on women were definitely progressive for his time. He wasn't just about education for women, he was for their equal participation in everything.
Wow.
Famously said, India needed more lionesses to work for its betterment.
Powerful statement.
Highlighting how crucial women are in shaping a just and compassionate society.
But even with his progressive views, he never abandoned his Hindu roots. He always seemed to connect that traditional wisdom with his modern outlook.
That's what makes him so fascinating, you know? not bound by rigid interpretations of tradition,
Yeah.
but not rejecting it either.
Okay.
He approached ancient scriptures and practices with a critical eye,
Interesting.
recontextualizing them for the modern world,
Okay.
stripping away superstition and dogma to reveal the core spiritual truths.
So he was like building a bridge, connecting the wisdom of the East with the West's energy.
Exactly. And that bridge wasn't just metaphorical. He put his ideas into action by founding the Ramakrishna Mission,
Oh, right.
a monastic order dedicated to serving humanity.
So not just spreading spiritual teachings, but actually doing something.
Right, translating those teachings into real actions to meet real-world needs.
I'm starting to see how everything in his life connects.
Yeah.
His transformation from skeptic to disciple, his journeys through India, his experiences in the West,
Yeah.
his vision of practical Vedanta, his push for social change, and finally, the Ramakrishna Mission. It's all woven together.
Exactly. Each stage builds on the last.
Like a tapestry, right.
That's a great way to put it.
All these threads of experience, reflection, and action,
Yeah.
revealing this profound vision for individual and societal transformation.
Amazing, isn't it?
As we get into Vivekananda's later years,
Yeah.
I'm struck by this interesting duality in his life.
But yeah.
On one hand, he's this energetic leader, right? Inspiring people, starting organizations, constantly pushing for social change.
Right.
But then there's this other side.
Okay.
He's drawn to solitude, to the contemplative life of a monk.
Yeah.
How do you balance those two seemingly opposite things?
You've hit on something really key there. It's a tension that you see throughout his life. He embodies that balance, between the outward energy of a reformer and the inner depth of a mystic.
Did that ever, play out in how he interacted with his disciples?
Oh, absolutely. He pushed them to be active, to get involved in social service, work to make things better.
Yeah.
But he also stressed how important meditation was, inner peace, self-knowledge.
It sounds like a really nuanced approach to spirituality.
It is.
Not either, but both.
Yeah, exactly.
Like recognizing that inner and outer work, they both matter for growth.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
There's this anecdote from Thousand Island Park. It illustrates this beautifully.
Oh, tell me about it.
So he's surrounded by his devoted disciples, teaching and guiding them.
Right.
But he still takes time for solitude. Goes off into nature, meditates, reconnects with himself.
Such a good reminder for all of us, right?
I know, I need to hear that sometimes.
Me too.
Even when things are busy, we need that space for reflection, to connect with what's deeper.
Exactly.
It seems like during this time, his ideas about organization and ritual, how they keep a spiritual tradition going, they shifted a bit.
You're right. He realized that philosophy and ideals weren't enough on their own. For a tradition to really thrive, it needed structure, something to support it, passing down through generations.
So he wasn't just focused on teaching big ideas. He was thinking about how to make them real, how to put them into practice in everyday life.
Exactly. And that practical approach, it carried over to his views on social reform, too. Big advocate for education, especially for women and the less privileged.
Right.
Saw it as a powerful tool for empowerment and social upliftment.
And he was really outspoken against the caste system, right?
Absolutely. Saw it as a huge roadblock to India's progress.
Yeah.
Spoke out against those rigid hierarchies, advocated for equality and opportunity for everyone. Believed true spirituality went beyond those artificial divisions, recognizing the inherent dignity and potential of every person.
Amazing how he blended tradition and modernity, challenging old ways while staying connected to his Hindu roots.
He wasn't afraid to question tradition, to reinterpret it for the times, to peel back the layers of superstition and dogma and get to the real wisdom underneath.
It was a dynamic approach, honoring the past but open to the present.
It was. As we look back on Vivekananda's life and legacy, it's this incredible tapestry of experiences, ideas, and actions that really stands out.
He was a spiritual teacher, a social reformer, a bridge builder, connecting East and West.
And his message, it still resonates today.
I think so too.
His call for universal brotherhood, his emphasis on serving humanity, his vision of progress that balances material well-being with spiritual growth.
Yeah.
Those ideas, they go beyond any specific time or place.
He challenges us to see that divine spark in ourselves and everyone else, and to let that guide how we live, to be more compassionate, more empathetic, more committed to serving others.
His life shows just how powerful spirituality can be. not as an escape from the world, but as a force for positive change, for individual and collective evolution.
It's been amazing diving deep into the extraordinary life of Swami Vivekananda.
I've really enjoyed it.
Awe-inspiring, really motivating. I feel even more committed to making a difference, just like he did.
That's wonderful. May his example guide you on your journey.
Thank you, and to all our listeners, thanks for joining us on this deep dive.
It's been a pleasure.